I'm told that the great Jerry Seinfeld was actually listening and has called in. And I'm hoping I can, defend his honor here like he needs it against Paul, who's saying a couple of good Seinfeld episodes. So, Jerry, if this is actually Jerry Seinfeld, thank you so much for calling. I appreciate it. Let me just tell you first.
You're so welcome.
There are two people in this studio, and I'm one of them who is a fan of you, amazingly enough. So thank you so much for calling.
You're so welcome. I love the show. I'm not
you.
arrogant enough to think that everybody should like what I do. I just wanted you to know it doesn't bother me. I'm okay with it. That, 1 out of 2 is fine for me.
That's it? You're good with that? Yeah, well, listen. The idea, first of all, I do watch the court. Every time I see it, it makes me think of the Kenny Rogers episode because the red just blurs my vision of these courts. I don't know if you've seen any of these NBA games in the in-season tournament. The courts are just hideous, and I feel like you every time. I literally see you rubbing your eyes walking out of the room every time I look at these courts. But no, I mean, come on. Here's also something, and I know you listen to Steve for years, and you listen to this radio station. You're a big fan. Every once in a while, there is a producer on the other side who wants to spark that argument. He wants to get involved. I could see it in his face as I was looking at him. He's face to the microphone. He's ready to turn it on. He wants to say something. I reference Seinfeld, and he's going to give me that little bit of, well, there's only a few good Seinfeld episodes. So then suddenly we're in a discussion.
We made 180 episodes.
Yes.
So we made 3 good ones. We're like the Giants,
That's true. That's true.
We're 3 and 177. That's our record.
Right. That's why Larry had to leave before it was finally over. He just felt like there wasn't enough good ones in the mix. So he actually told me. So Paul told me you're still in touch with Steve. Do you still talk to Steve Summers every once in a while?
I haven't talked to Steve in a while. I think I contributed to an article about him some time back, but no, I have not. I don't keep in touch with people once they've outlived their usefulness.
Yes, that is. Well, I wouldn't say that about Steve, but you can. That's for sure. But and let me ask you about the Mets while I have you. Have 2 seconds because I know the Mets had an incredible season. I know you're a huge Met fan. This year was
huge.
One of those years that come around very few, especially with an owner with this much money and what we're hoping the Mets will be. This is the last year, really, that the Mets will have this sort of no anticipation, no expectations, and to have this unbelievable run. It kind of ends after this, and then the heaviness of expectation will weigh on this team. So unfortunately,
you could make a pretty good argument that this season was the most magical. Not counting the 2 series wins, this was the most magical because it was a chemistry and it was an energy and it was an emotional thing of guys that weren't supposed to be that good. And I don't know what could beat that. Does winning with Juan Soto and Shohei Ohtani, would that be as fun as this?
No, I agree. I agree with you. I know this is odd, but I figured I'll tell you this because me and you are buddies. I'm a big Paul McCartney guy, and he has a song called "Dear Boy." And
Me too.
And there's a song "Dear Boy" on the Ram album, and it says, "Even when you fall in love, it won't be half as good as this." And that's like I think of that like when I was watching this Mets season because you're right. Championships are great. You want the parade. You want the championships. And ultimately, you got to get great players to do so, and he's going to probably go and try and do that. But there's something special about having the season where you, especially where they were, and to climb out of it. It's not only just a team with low expectations making it. It's a team that dug themselves such a hole, and the ability to turn themselves into one of the better teams in the league, dig themselves out of the hole, and get all the way to the NLCS was just an incredible ride. And I can imagine for someone like you, it must have been a lot of fun.
Yeah. Oh, it was so well, it's fun. I mean, as an adult, to be jumping up and down and screaming, what makes you jump up and down and scream as an adult?
Right.
Nothing. But there's no zillion-dollar player that's going to throw his helmet down like Jesse Winker.
That's true.
I mean, right?
Yeah.
That to me, the value of that guy going crazy, his enthusiasm, that made it more fun than anything.
Yeah.
Do you want them to get Soto?
Well, I'm a Yankee fan, so no. You have no business going to get Juan Soto. No, how dare you? No. You think you're the Yankees all of a sudden? No. I want him to be a Yankee, but I do think it's going to be fun because this is the first time. I know last year Yamamoto, kind of both teams were going for Yamamoto, but it wasn't the same. He's been a Yankee. He was just playing in the World Series as a Yankee. So to have Steve Cohen finally decide to just say, listen, I've finally arrived after this year where we took a step back in many ways and still had this great run. I'm finally ready to use my power to try and get one of the great generational young talents and to do it at the expense of the Yankees. I think it's going to be a blast for the next couple of weeks. But no, I'm hoping that the Yankees recognize, what they have to do. But I'm assuming you're kind of making it seem like you would be okay if they don't get him and go about building a team rather than getting Juan Soto.
Yeah, I don't know about these Giant players, but tell me about the pain of the fifth inning. Tell me about that.
Really?
I want to know, what did that feel like?
Do I have to go over this with Jerry Seinfeld right now? Really?
Yeah. I want to hear your pain.
Jerry. That is I'm not kidding.
What was the worst of the three plays for you? Which one was the worst? The Judge play was the worst.
Well,
it's a guy you don't want to see that happen to that guy. He's a nice guy, obviously a great player, and he's tattooed with that moment
forever. No doubt. It's still, honestly, I'm not kidding. A day hasn't gone by yet that I haven't thought about it for a little bit. In the moment,
it makes me feel so good to hear that. I can't tell you.
And I'm glad I'm pleasing you, Jerry. In the
moment,
in the
pain
moment,
is my pleasure.
Thank you very much. The moment, in the moment, it wasn't because it's only step one. So many things have to go wrong. I don't anticipate at 5-0 that a drop fly ball is going to doom that game and doom that season. So in the moment, I'm frustrated and I can't believe it happened. But it didn't hurt as bad as watching Garrett Cole just stand there and not cover first. In the moment, that was the one that just absolutely drove me nuts. But you're right.
Why is Rizzo not taking more heat? Come on.
Yeah.
A lot of first basemen would make that play.
A lot of first basemen. Yeah. Well, can't believe I'm breaking this down with Jerry Seinfeld. Yes, I'm very upset with Rizzo. But here's the thing: that ball was such a squibber and was moving and tailing away from him, he had to make sure. He's not Keith Hernandez. No. I get it, but he has to make sure that ball doesn't get by him. And bottom line, you're not wrong. In a perfect world, he makes that play and runs to first base and Betts is out. But that doesn't
in this world, an imperfect world.
It doesn't excuse the pitcher for not covering the base, though.
No,
that's I don't know if they would have made the play. And honestly, I don't even think the rest of the inning happens. I'm a big believer in the idea of even if Betts beats it out and Cole made the play and Rizzo's just late with the toss, he's late getting to the bag. Mookie Betts and his speed beats it out. It doesn't feel as bad, and the rest of the inning might not happen. But the idea that the Yankees didn't act, the idea that the Yankees had a brain cramp in that moment, the idea the play never even got off the ground somehow makes it worse. If you remember the Steve Bartman play.
Of course.
Right. If Alou doesn't go absolutely crazy after the ball's not caught.
Right.
If Alou doesn't throw the glove down and throw an absolute fit and make everybody in the building realize what the hell just happened and how close we were to that big out. I don't know if the rest of the inning happens and Bartman's not recognized as this tragic figure. But because of the action afterwards, I almost hearken it back to that and it makes me feel like that. Even if the play wasn't made, you can't just stand there and go, oops, like that. It can't happen. So it's
notice
devastating.
The next day after that game, I don't know if you noticed the Yankee hats per block in Manhattan went from 6 to 0 in one day. It was as a Met fan, that was a very thrilling moment for me. They were vacuumed. You can't walk down one block in New York City without seeing a Yankee hat.
Yeah, and then for a day it was put away. Yeah, I'm
fantastic.
It's fun. You call in to let us all know that it's okay that people don't like your show, and I applaud you for that. But now, you're taking bows for a very successful losing season from the Mets, and then you're taking more joy in Yankee failures than you are in Mets success. You're looking for my pain. It's very telling.
Season, yes, but a deeper run than our American League counterparts here in the city. A deeper run, 6 games over 5.
Oh, Yeah, well, it also they were playing in the World Series, though. You can't call it a deeper run. They won one more game against the Dodgers because the Dodgers were in a position after the Padres series where they were forced to throw 2 bullpen games instead of only needing 1 against the Yankees. That's pretty.
Right.
Dave Roberts gave up 2 against the Mets and only gave up 1 against the Yankees.
Have you watched the comeback on Netflix?
Amazingly enough, it hasn't been at the top of my list. No. I watched Game 7. They have a new documentary out about all different Game 7s, and I watched the Aaron Boone Game 7 to make me feel a little bit better. But no, I haven't watched the debacle that was the 2004. But I got to be honest with you. This hurts more than that. Yeah. I know that's historic.
Did you
it was
want
a slow
Boone
death.
Back?
Yes, I am a Boone guy. I'm a Boone and Brian Cashman apologist. I don't know if you know that about me.
Okay.
But,
all right. No, I didn't know that.
I'm a big Yankee shill to many people, and I have no problem saying that.
I wish you the best. It's a great franchise. It's the greatest sports franchise in history, and you have a lot to be proud of.
That's how I put it sometimes. But people get very upset.
It's true.
People expect more. Just not a champion.
Inning.
Yeah.
Of the ALCS, the 5th inning this year. I just want to remind you. Oh, yeah, the World
I'm never going to live it down. No, and especially now that I'm like, every time I have to tell the story about I talk to Jerry Seinfeld, I have to say what we were talking about. So it's.
Well, thank you for taking my call.
Well, thank you for making it.
Thank you for sticking up for me. And I just want you to know that my feelings were not hurt because I'm happy I can make even one person happy, and it's you, Chris.
Well, yes, absolutely. Well, it's more than that. You made a ton of people happy. In my opinion, it's the greatest show, a comedy in the history of television. I'm a huge Seinfeld fan. I'm a huge fan of you.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
I even labored through your Pop-Tart movie. That's how much I liked you. So
my Emmy nominated number 1.
No, it actually did make me laugh. It was
we had a lot of fun with
that.
It
did. It made me laugh. And plus, just I'm a huge cereal guy, so just the idea of
it was
comedic and very much so, but there was interesting tidbits in there about learning about how like the breakfast food industry was something I was unaware of. Like how impactful it was and how it literally changed American mornings. Like it was a little fascinating, along with all the kind of bombastic humor that you put into it.
Yeah, but there really was a war to create it.
Right.
Who could create it first? That was the true part of the story.
Yeah,
that's what we started with it.
Well,
but anyway, thank you, Chris.
Of course,
I appreciate the time.
Absolutely, thank you for calling in. I can't tell you how much I appreciate it. Thank you very much, Jerry.
My pleasure.
Be well. Okay. All right, that was Jerry Seinfeld. I did not anticipate that today. I did not anticipate. You never know. If I would have mentioned that at 3 o'clock in the morning when I'm normally on, Jerry doesn't call in, that's for sure. 888-808-1019. We got a break. See that? Look at you, Paul. Now you got to get me McCartney. You got me Seinfeld. You got to get me McCartney now.
This is what I do. This is what the glue does. I make things happen, man. I make things happen. I put things together. Seinfeld calls in to you because of me.
That's very true. I think I didn't want to get into it too much with him, but yes, the show has way more than 2 good episodes. I can't believe you said that, but good for you. You got it done, buddy.
I said it was one of the few. I didn't say it was just 2.
Right. Obviously, so give me one more. Give me one more good Seinfeld episode.
The pilot.
Oh, that is such a rote. Just couldn't think of another thing. So you said, what happened in the pilot?
I forgot. It happened a long time ago.
Exactly right. The only thing I remember from the pilot, I believe, was something at the airport, and George was wearing like purple sweatpants. That's all I remember. But there's obviously a ton of great Seinfeld episodes. 888-808-1019. McMonigle here with you. Quick break. After that exciting segment, and we actually will talk to John Morosi of Fox and MLB Network. He'll come on and give us a little bit of what Jerry was talking about with all the money for Juan Soto. Where will he go? And then I want to ask him specifically about the surrounding players, because I think we all have an idea of what's happening with Juan Soto. It's going to be a ton of money. It's going to be one of these big teams, specifically I think probably the Yankees or the Mets. But what's plan B for these two teams, and what are those contracts looking like? What are the numbers looking like in that area? So we'll get to Morosi and go a little bit around baseball. Still take your football calls. McMonigle here with you on the Fan all the way till midnight on our ride to midnight right here on a Tuesday evening. McMonigle here with you on the Fan.